Hello everybody and welcome to a Replica Airguns video. My name's Michael K and we're here with our shootout video. I've got my actual Cybergun GSG 92, so it's a lot like the KWC P92 or M92 or whatever you want to call it, Taurus version. And then we have our KWC Tac A1, which is a lot like the Cybergun 10-focal Lethal Witness. Really just cosmetically, oh I got a floaty on here. Cosmetically, just a little different. Internally all the mechanics are the same as the 1911 A1 style or the classic 1911 style. This just happens to be the more tactical version. So we're going to do our shootout video. I'm going to put some rounds through the chronograph. This is an airsoft chronograph, but it's working a lot better than my regular pellet BB one. I might have to do a few extra shots, but I'll try and get between 2 and 3 shots out of it, just so we get an feet per second rating for each gun. And then we're going to head back and we're going to shoot from the 30-foot mark, because we really want to stretch it out to see how well these guns perform, if one's a little better than the other. And let's just see how they do. Now, I will be doing my X5, so I know a lot of people ask the difference between these, but I'm going to be doing the sight rail version. So it will shoot pretty much the same, except for maybe a bit more accurate with the sight rail, because I'm going to have the red dot. So let's start out with the Tac A1. And the first couple shots may not read so well, just because there's a lot of CO2 going on, but we'll get her going. 277. No read on that one. Come on. I'm going to try putting it a little closer. 253. 249. So that gave us some nice readings there. Nothing wrong with that. And I'll average them out for you so we can see what they are on the screen, just so we know. And it isn't exactly warm. 296. A little louder this one. 300. 296. So a little hotter. This one was a little hotter, and really not bad at all. Not really sure why this one was shooting a little slower. You just never know. On certain days, one may shoot a little faster than the other. So this guy was a little under 300. This one was pretty much right at 300. So let's head back now 30 feet and see what kind of accuracy we get from 30 feet out in a semi-rested target. Now don't forget, I do have written reviews, so always check out my other reviews. I'll see if I can put links in there to my other video reviews for both these guns. Alright, I'm set up back here 30 feet, semi-rested. Got both my guns loaded up with 10 rounds in each. Slide should lock back on the last shot if I've counted them right. And so let's proceed here. I'm going to shoot the first with the ASG 92, or the, I guess it would be the KWC P92 or M92. There's a bunch of different names for it. Swiss Arms, Cybergun. You know, they're just basically the same gun, all made by KWC. Both of these guns made by KWC. Sometimes they're, I guess, redistributed by companies like Cybergun and just relabeled and rebranded and retexturized, but they're essentially all the same guns. And so here we go. We're going to test out the GSG 92. I've already chambered around, so I didn't want to rechamber around. That's why I have the slide locked forward on this one. All right, so let's see how we do. I'll give you, once we're done here, I'll switch targets for the new for the other gun here, and then we'll go up and compare the targets, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about blowback and whatnot. Safety's on. We don't want to go full auto. There we go. Sorry for the delay. Got to make sure that this testing is done right. That sounded like 9. Anyways, let's take a look. Not a bad grouping, really. A little over 2 inches, 2 1/4. Pretty good from 30 feet with the BB gun like that. Let's switch up the targets. Alright, so let's do this. Tac A1 here. KWC Tac A1. And a little nicer sights on this one. Got the white dots. Are we locked out? No. A little more blowback. Sounds like it's going slower though, for sure. That's it, that was 10. Let's take a look. Definitely more blowback with the 1911 style. You could hear that the delay from the time that I shot to the time I got to the target, it was definitely lower feet per second. Let's compare these two. So the 1911 was a little higher up, not much. Both of them pretty well centered. Both of them got, with the exception of that flyer, you know, like I don't mind having a flyer like that. It could be me, it could be the BB, it could be anything, right? But the main group for both of these was around 2 inches, a little over, 2 1/4 for both guns from 30 feet. So realistically, they both shot, I'd say, about the same. Now in this day, with this CO2 and these conditions, the Tac A1 definitely was about 50 FPS lower. You know, because the magazines on these guns have the valves and they distribute the CO2, that could be part of the reason why the FPS was lower. Maybe this valve is just on this particular magazine lets out a little less CO2 than other magazines. It's not an exact science when that happens. So could be that. The 1911 had more blowback. Maybe some of the energy was going more into blowback and less into the BB. So in order to really know for sure, I'd have to test out a different magazine than that gun to see how it did. But either way, both of these guns shot nice, performed well for me, fairly accurate. You would expect around 3 good magazines, so potentially 50 to 60 rounds. I don't always load my magazines right to the max. Sometimes they get a little heavy. The BBs might not feed perfectly on the first couple rounds. So I usually put about 15 or 16 rounds into each magazine. That's usually enough for me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Come on down to the Replica Airguns website where we have the full articles, reviews, tabletop reviews, and things like that. So check those out. Also come down to the Replica Airguns Canada and US store. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.